Pharmacist Ben,
Yes, sir.
how are you today?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Great to see you. You know, Becca shortchanged us. She gave us a short intro. It used to be a nice long intro.
Well, yeah, we want to get to the meat here. Meat and potatoes.
This is true. We
Yeah,
need meat and potatoes.
meat and potatoes.
You know, Paul was talking earlier today about weight loss and you needed to eat a certain amount of protein.
Who was talking?
Paul Croto.
He was talking about eating. So weight loss, and you need to eat a certain amount of protein.
But yeah, so like he said something about Becca. Maybe you can join us and chime in. But he said something. I didn't catch everything. He said something like, if you want to be 145 pounds, you need to eat 145 grams of protein.
You know, roughly speaking, it's half a gram to a gram per pound of body weight. So that would be 72 or 73 grams to 145 grams. That's just rule of thumb. There's no real way to know because, first of all, it's all guesswork. But also, you don't know how much protein you're actually eating. Unless it's powder, if it's protein food, you don't really know how much protein is in the food. You can approximate and most of it's approximations, but nobody really knows exactly. So it's hard to say. It's all kind of ballpark. You're not going to exactly weigh everything out. But yeah, it's the going or the accepted conventional wisdom is half a gram to a gram of protein per pound of body weight. And the reason why that's important for losing weight is because protein gives you sustained energy. Sugar gives you quick energy. Protein gets turned into sugar. And this is important for diabetics because a lot of times diabetics won't realize that if they're eating a lot of protein, that's going to get converted into sugar. That can raise your blood sugar. So, but it's slower. It's a slower process. So it's kinder on the body. And that's why you can meet your sugar needs or your energy needs, we'll say, by eating protein. And there's really no need to eat sugar. You can get all the sugar, all the energy that your body needs by eating protein, but it's slower and it's much easier for the body. And that's what Paul is probably referring to, that if you're trying to lose weight, you want to lose sugar and you want to reduce your sugar intake and lower your insulin, and eating more protein will do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the protein powders are really the most efficient way, even though, natural foods are usually better than formulas, but protein powders are good because you know what you're getting. And if I may give a shout out to my friend Stan Dennison, that TMR shake is crazy good.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy good. Banana, almond milk, a little bit of fruit juice, grape juice if you want, just a tiny splash of grape juice, a couple scoops of TMR. Oh my God, is that amazing? like a dessert.
Going to town. Becca is muted, but there you go, Becca. What were you saying?
So another shout out to Stan is their plant-based protein.
Yeah, he's telling me about that. I haven't had that. I haven't tried that yet.
So it's vanilla. My mom absolutely loves it. I just gave her a shake and I mixed half a scoop of her Osteo FX in it.
Oh yeah?
So that she was getting that extra
calcium,
magnesium and boron and strontium and all those things for healthy bones. She's like, she absolutely loved it.
Awesome.
She's like, this is the best shake I've ever tasted.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's the way it should be. Yeah, that's I love that. And you know what? I tried to get Stan to tell me why that TMR shake tastes so good, and he wouldn't tell me. He kind of laughed about it. He wouldn't give me a secret. Said, how do you get it so delicious and creamy? And he sort of laughed and said, I can't tell you that.
It's the stay natural approach.
Yeah, it's whatever he's doing. That stuff is absolutely delicious. I couldn't be a better spokesperson for that. And I don't get paid for it, but I love that stuff, man. So when you were talking to Paul, what was the topic? Was it weight loss? Was that the topic?
Yeah, we were talking about weight loss.
Got it.
And I've been doing that so that I'm trying to get to,
more protein.
Not my current weight, but my weight I want to be in protein.
I see what you're saying. So if you want to be like 120, you want 120 grams of protein.
Yes.
But if you weigh 140, you don't want to be 140 grams. It's not that big a deal. An egg, just to keep things in perspective, an egg has about 10 grams of protein, something like that. Just to keep it in perspective. One of the best ways to get protein and lose weight is just, instead of eating breakfast, have a flax beverage, a flaxseed beverage. And grind the flax and you'll get about as much protein as an egg, and you'll get fiber, you'll get vitamin E, you'll get magnesium. It's filling as can be. And if you put some cinnamon and some clove and some with the water and make like a nice, delicious flax beverage with ground up flax seeds, omega fats, good for your brain. It's just super delicious, great source of nutrients, including protein, and very filling and easy to make.
I got a quick question. Just in relation to protein versus aminos. I mean, should we be consuming aminos?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So protein, most people recognize that protein is made from amino acids. So you can think of protein as being a sentence, and amino acids are the words. Or you can think of protein as being words, and the amino acids are the letters, and the sentences are complex proteins. Proteins come in different levels of complexity. You have proteins that are single chain, double chain, and triple chains. There are various chains of proteins. And so you can think of the big chains of proteins as being sentences or even paragraphs. The point being that the amino acids are the building blocks of the proteins. But here's where it gets really interesting. Yes, the amino acids are building blocks of proteins. But protein chunks, like if a protein is made up of 100 amino acids, say, if you take a chunk of that protein that's like 5 amino acids, a pentapeptide they'll call that, or 4 amino acids, a tetrapeptide, or 2 amino acids, a dipeptide, you see what I'm saying? If you take little chunks of that protein, those peptides, that's what a peptide is, this chunk of protein, are themselves active. For example, just to give you one example, there's a peptide called lactoferrin that is important as a antibiotic, natural antibiotic peptide. It's found in the intestine. Collagen peptides are small pieces of collagen, small chunks of collagen that stimulate the production of collagen. There are peptides in skincare products. You may have heard of this, Rebecca, how skincare products over the last few years have got peptides, and all these peptides have their own therapeutic value. They can turn on collagen production. They can open up lymphatic vessels. They can create lightening the skin or darken the skin or make the skin thicker or stronger. They have various functionalities. They'll put them in skincare products. So proteins are important. They do things. In fact, they're by far the most important substances in the body. I always say proteins are the leading man, and fats and carbohydrates, the other macronutrients, they're the supporting actors. They support the protein. Protein does the work. It's the protein. There's a couple 100,000 proteins. They keep finding different ones in the body. And the most important class of proteins, by the way, are enzymes. The enzymes are the most important class of proteins. And this is one of the reasons why proteins are so important, because nothing happens without the enzymes, which are the proteins. And they all come from the DNA. They all come from the genetics. The chunks of protein, the peptides, those also have therapeutic value, as I just said. And the building blocks of the peptides and the proteins, the amino acids, those also have therapeutic value. So, for example, tyrosine is an amino acid that'll give you energy. Tyrosine will also help you make dopamine. It will also help you make adrenal hormones, stress hormones. Tyrosine is important for pigment production. If you're trying to quit coffee, tyrosine is one of the best things you can ever take. Arginine. I call arginine super amino acid because it's got 4 pieces of nitrogen, and nitrogen's the explosive stuff. Here's I like telling this story, so forgive me here. I think it's a cool story. Arguably, nitrogen is the most important element in human civilization. Why? Because what does nitrogen do? Why is nitrogen so important? Any farmers? If you're a farmer, what are you doing with nitrogen?
Well, nitrogen in the body.
Not in the body. If you're a farmer.
Well, it's one NPK. It's
the stuff of fertilizer. Exactly. In fact, arguably, the greatest invention of the 20th century, maybe ever, was the process for making nitrogen, or for making nitrogen. Nitrogen's a gas, but for making nitrogen solid so that you could use it. What do we call solid nitrogen? Fertilizer.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember this, but in the 1990s, 1996, you were probably weren't even born yet, AJ. There was this Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah.
You remember the Oklahoma City bombing?
Is that Tim McVeigh?
Tim McVeigh and Terry Nichols. And they
Oh,
say there's
was
still a lot of controversy around all that stuff, so we won't go there.
According to AI, it's no controversy, right?
Yeah, according to AI, there's no controversy, right? So anyway, what did they use to explode the building?
Fertilizer.
Bingo. Yeah. Why did they use fertilizer? What's fertilizer?
You can't trace it. I mean,
why is fertilizer explosive?
Apparently because of the nitrogen.
Because of the nitrogen. Exactly. You know glycerin is? Glycerin is a sugar. Glycerin is like a sweet substance, like a syrup. It's used in skincare products. It's used in cough syrups. It's a syrupy, sweet substance. It comes from fat, but it has a certain sweetness to it. And it's used as a sweetening agent. It's used in skincare products as a humectant. It attracts water. It's a very benign substance is what I'm saying. It's in your toothpaste. But if you take nitrogen and stick it onto that glycerin, you get nitroglycerin. Mm-hmm. It turns glycerin, which is this benign substance, into dynamite, into nitroglycerin, right? Or if you take nail polish remover, right? Nail polish remover has something they call toluene, right? Mm-hmm. And you put nitrogen in the nail polish remover, you blend it together, you get nitrogen toluene, or specifically trinitrotoluene, TNT, dynamite. Right? You get, and that's what I'm saying. Nitrogen has an explosive quality to it, and that's why it's used to explode plants, like make the plants grow. Any farmer knows they need a nitrogen-rich soil, and in the body, nitrogen makes your muscles grow. Bodybuilders want to keep their nitrogen. They'll actually test their urine to see how much nitrogen they're losing. If you're losing nitrogen, that's a bad sign. That means your body's breaking down. You want nitrogen retention, so you can use the nitrogen to build muscle. Nitrogen's very explosive stuff. The reason I'm bringing this up with protein is because what makes protein different from fats and sugars is nitrogen. If you take nitrogen and stick it on a fat or a sugar or a carbohydrate, you get an amino acid. So it's nitrogen that has this explosive quality that makes amino acids so valuable, and then peptides and proteins, because after you strip off the nitrogen, you're left with a carbohydrate. A nitrogen is just a protein, or an amino acid is just a carbohydrate with nitrogen, right? So carbohydrates are the basis of everything. Stick a nitrogen on it, and you get protein. That's where you really start to get the body going. So I was saying about amino acids, I said tyrosine, but then you have arginine. Arginine has 4 nitrogens. Most amino acids have 1 or 2. Arginine has 4 nitrogens. That makes it really important for building things and for activities. So arginine is very important for the circulatory system, for the heart, helps you make growth hormone, helps you handle sugar. If you have a burn, arginine is one of the best supplements you can take to heal the skin, or if you have any trauma, or if you just want to keep your skin healthy, or if you just want to stay young. Arginine is probably the most valuable amino acid for youthifying the body and for making the body strong and powerful, the heart and the circulatory system. Somebody's asking about creatine. Creatine has 3 amino acids. It's a tripeptide, and that's another peptide. Creatine is an amazing peptide, by the way, for the skin, for anti-aging, for the eyes, for muscles. Of course, everybody knows about it. I don't want anybody out there to think that you only use creatine just for bodybuilding. Elderly people will benefit from creatine. It helps if you're exercising, doing a little bit of exercise. I've been taking creatine every day for a long time. Creatine contains arginine. It's one of the amino acids that it contains. Glutathione is a peptide. Have you heard of glutathione?
Oh, from you, I know that you really love glutathione.
Love glutathione. That's another peptide. So anyway, these amino acids have their own therapeutic value. For people who have eczema or dermatitis, histidine is a great amino acid. For people who, I talked about tyrosine, phenylalanine also has energizing properties. Phenylalanine is notorious for not being. There's a disease that people have called PKU where they can't use phenylalanine. You may have heard of that. PKU. Phenylketonuria. They can't handle phenylalanine. So the point is that all amino acids, peptides, and proteins all have value. They're all built out of the amino acids. and they get turned into proteins, and then chunks of protein are also valuable as peptides: creatine, glutathione, lactoferrin. There's a lot of these peptides: skin peptides, cosmetic peptides. There's a lot of these peptides. Last thing, there's a group of peptides, or not a group, but there's three amino acids. I'm sorry, 3 amino acids. They call them branched chain amino acids. Ever heard of this term? BCAAs?
I've heard it vaguely.
They use them in bodybuilders use them. They're very important for building things. N-acetylcysteine is a derivative of an amino acid, super important for a detoxification. What are some other important? A lysine, very important for folks who are dealing with cold sores. Lysine can help balance out arginine, and because bacteria, the cold sore virus needs arginine, lysine can help for folks who are dealing with cold sores by knocking out the arginine or keeping the arginine out of the virus. So lysine, you probably know this, lysine is used for cold sores. Glutamine is used to make glutathione, but it's got its own muscle building properties. There's a whole bunch of amino acids that have nutritional value. And then peptides, of course, and then the proteins. I hope I answered your question about why protein is so valuable.
And why aminos are so valuable. I have a quick question. Does just yes or no? Does lysine have anything to do with Lysol?
No. Lys, means to kill. Lysine is an amino acid. I don't think it had anything to do with killing things. But lyse, when you hear lyse, to lyse something like Lysol, that's kind of a cute way of saying kills everything. Lysol. Yeah, lyse means to kill in biology.
On Rumble, Hold the Line TV is asking, how do you counter those who are calorie counters versus managed by protein intake?
I don't know what that necessarily means, but I think he might be referring to calories in, calories out, that whole thing. They used to say calories in, calories out. They used to make weight loss something as simple as just cutting your calories. Unfortunately, it's not quite that simple because calories from fat are handled differently from calories from protein. So, and calories from sugar. So, calories from sugar, if you're eating sugar if you have 5 grams of calories, or if you have, let's say, 100 calories coming from sugar, right? Those calories are going to go right into the bloodstream. The sugar is going to get handled by the body super quickly. It's going to go right into the blood. And those calories, calor means heat, are going to initiate chemistry. Let's put it that way. By virtue of their heat, quickly. Protein, the same amount of calories from protein, is going to require breaking down and different biochemical processes that are going to slow down the release of those calories and create an entirely different biochemical environment than the sugar will. So it's not as simple as calories in, calories out, because a calorie from sugar initiates biochemical reactions and causes a biochemical environment that is different from those same 100 calories that are coming from protein. That's how you counter it. And nobody who understands biochemistry will ever say calories in, calories out. Doctors might say it, or nurses or dietitians, but they're not really biochemists. Biochemists understand that you're changing the biochemical environment, the milieu of the body. You're creating a different biochemical milieu with protein or with sugar or fat. So it's not as simple as calories in, calories out. Not only that, if you have a food, two foods with 100 calories, the same amount of calories, but one food has fiber and the other is like soda pop, the food with the fiber is going to have those calories released much more slowly. And again, you're going to get a different kind of biochemical milieu environment in the body than you will when you spike the sugar. The blood sugar goes up really quickly. That initiates an entirely different sequence of biochemical reactions than the slow trickle sugar that comes in when you have fiber or when you're getting your protein through your sugar through conversion of protein.
So should we not consume sugar or carbs past 5 o'clock? Is that something that you would want to do if you're?
From a paleo perspective and a warrior diet perspective, yeah, it's probably best to stop eating like when the sun starts to go down, like 6-ish, 7-ish kind of thing. If you can do it at 4, that just means you have a longer window of fasting, of ketogenesis. So yeah, if you can ideally keep your eating to a narrow window of like 12 to 4 or something along those lines, that means you got 20 hours of generating ketones. So I don't know if 4 o'clock specifically is a cutoff point, but earlier, earlier in the evening, you don't want to eat late in the evening. You don't want to eat before you go to bed. That's something you don't want to do. You want to have a few hours transpire between your last meal of the day and the time you go to sleep. And 4 o'clock is a good place to be. 6 o'clock. I don't know the exact time, but the point is you want to stop eating several hours, ideally, before you sleep.
Okay, before we bring Becca on with some questions, Pam on Facebook's asking, which longevity products are high in ORAC points?
Beyond Tangy Tangerine, probably that new one, the 3.0, I would think, right?
Well, 3.0 has quite a number of high ORAC points, but Tangy Tangerine is tried and true, isn't it?
I love the Tangy Tangerine. I'd say the Tangy Tangerine and the 3.0, the 2.5, and the 2.0. I think those are higher. Are our highest ORAC products, but there's a few other ones that have high ORAC. You know what has high ORAC is the calcium chew, those chocolate calcium chews.
Oh, really? They still have those, Becca?
I don't know if they still have those. And actually, as I'm saying that, is that the one with the high ORAC value, Becca? I shouldn't say that because I'm not really sure, actually, as I said that.
Mm-hmm. But vitamin C in and of itself is highly.
Yeah. ORAC is a measurement of oxygen scavenging capacity. ORAC stands for oxygen reactive something scavenging. I forgot what ORAC stands for.
Oxygen radical.
Oxygen radical something.
Absorption capacity.
Okay, there you go. That is what it is. Oxygen radical absorption capacity. Right. It just means how well a molecule will suck up oxygen. Antioxidants suck up oxygen. So high ORAC means it sucks up oxygen. It's a very strong antioxidant. Vitamin C is awesome. It's incredibly important. But here's the thing about ORAC and antioxidants. The better an antioxidant is, the quicker it will become a pro-oxidant. Do you hear that? What I just said? The better an antioxidant is, the quicker it will become a pro-oxidant. So
it means we need to eliminate it pretty quickly, or?
That's a very good point. So what is oxidant? What does that mean, an antioxidant? What is an antioxidant anyway? What's happening with an antioxidant?
Well, free radicals are doing damage to the body.
No words. Don't tell me in words. Tell me in chemistry what's happening in chemistry.
The oxygen is going in and destroying.
Wreaking havoc. Mm-hmm. Oxygen is a thief. Oxygen steals things. And when specifically it steals the most fundamental molecule, or among the most fundamental, not molecules, but the most fundamental particle in physics, which is the electron. Now, you can argue that there's other equally fundamental, but that's one of the most fundamental particles in biology, in nature, in reality, in matter, in the physical universe, is electrons. Oxygen steals electrons. Imagine you have this precious commodity in your home, right? You got this you got gold in your home, all over. You got gold, and somebody comes in, and every time he comes over to visit, he steals your gold. He steals a piece of gold. You'd be ticked off, right? Well, that's what oxygen does. It steals electrons. It steals the body's gold. And by the way, it does this everywhere. Do you ever wonder what a fire is? Isn't fire? Now that you think about it, what the heck is a fire? Can you give me a fire? If you have a fire, can you hand me a fire? Say, here's fire. Can you transfer it back and forth?
On a stick.
On a stick, but by itself, can you? Like you could. I don't need a stick to give you my iPhone. I don't need a stick to give you my pen. I don't need a stick to give you this paper. But I can't do it with fire. Why is that?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. It's interesting, huh? Never thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's why. I'll tell you why. Because fire is not a thing. It's not a noun, a person, place, or thing. It's a verb. It's an action. A fire is an activity. It's an action. You can't hand running. If you're running somewhere, can you hand me running?
No.
Can you hand me eating? Can you hand me, writing? No, you can't hand a verb. You have to have a noun to hand it to me. A verb is an action. You follow me?
Mm.
Fire is not a thing. It just looks like a thing. It's really an action.
On fire is an adverb, right?
Yes, fire is, use it as a noun,
phrase,
but it's not a noun. We nominalize it, but it's really a verb. It's an action. So you say, what is the action? What is the action that's fire?
The noun is on fire.
So what is the action? So it's an action. We've established it's a verb, right?
Yes.
What is it? What's the verb? What's happening?
Combustion.
No, without word. No, I mean, don't label it. Tell me what's happening. Combustion. Yeah, that's
something is changing. It's
yes. Let me tell you what's happening. Okay, and this all has to do with oxygen. Oxygen is a thief. It steals electrons. Where are their electrons? On atoms. All atoms have electrons. And it is very simplistic. This is what it looks like. Oh, you can't see that.
Can't see a thing.
Can't see a thing, right? It's all white. Let me see if I can do this here. Hang on. That's funny. Okay, there you go.
Oh, look at that.
There
wow. I didn't know you were an artist.
You see? Isn't that artistic? Here, I'll make it even more artistic for you. Watch this. Watch this. Here's artistic. You want to see artistic?
Oh, okay.
Hi, AJ.
Look at that. Okay.
All right. So, no, I'm going somewhere with this.
Explain, please explain.
I'm going somewhere here. Okay. So we call this is Mickey Mouse, and these are Mickey Mouse ears.
Okay.
Right? Mickey Mouse is an atom, and Mickey Mouse ears are electrons.
Okay.
Every atom has Mickey Mouse ears. This is very simplistic, but this is generally what's happening. Every atom, whether you have calcium or boron or nitrogen or arsenic or helium or hydrogen, whatever it is, they have, not hydrogen, that's a little different, but all the atoms have two Mickey Mouse ears. Okay? These Mickey Mouse ears are electrons. Every atom likes to have two Mickey Mouse ears. What oxygen does is it steals Mickey Mouse ears. So now you have an atom with only one Mickey Mouse ear. That's not a good thing. I'll tell you why that's not a good thing here in a second, but I want you to get the picture here, okay? Are you with me?
Yes.
You got to look like you follow, because if not, I'm going by how you look.
And I'm waiting. I'm listening.
So every atom has two Mickey Mouse ears. When Mickey Mouse ear is pulled off by oxygen, it releases light. Light is released by the removal of a Mickey Mouse ear. Okay, you with me?
Mm-hmm.
When that Mickey Mouse is carbon, and oxygen rips off a Mickey Mouse ear off a carbon, a lot of light is released. You with me so far?
Yes.
There's lots of carbon in trees. And when you take trees, wood, and put it in a place where there's lots of oxygen, like the air, nothing happens. But if you add heat, you can burn that log. And that burning is nothing more than what we see, the visual appearance of lots of carbon having its Mickey Mouse ears removed by oxygen. And how do you make your fire brighter? You pump it with oxygen. More oxygen means more stealing of Mickey Mouse ears, means more of a fire, means more heat. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
How do you put the fire out? You rob it of oxygen.
Yes.
You suffocate it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Oxygen steals Mickey Mouse ears very efficiently, incredibly efficiently. That process that we're calling, in this somewhat silly way, stealing Mickey Mouse ears with oxygen is called, because scientists aren't going to say Mickey Mouse ears. They're not going to say ripping off Mickey Mouse ears. They say oxidation. Oxidation is the stealing of Mickey Mouse ears. Oxygen oxidizes by ripping off ears, and when that happens, light is released, and when it happens a lot, you get a fire. When it happens with heat, it takes heat for a lot of ears to get ripped off. That's when you get a fire. That's why you want the body not hot, by the way. That's why calories are such a problem. Calor, heat. The more heat you have, the hotter the body is, the more damaging oxygen is going to be, the more fire you're going to have. And by the way, this is quantum fire. what I'm teaching, what I'm telling you here right now is quantum chemistry. And this is not easy stuff. So if you understand this stuff, you're pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Is this making sense?
Yes, sir.
Follow me. Okay. So in nature, there are these beneficial angels that carry, you ever see in Colorado, you probably have in New York too, in New Jersey, on the highway, they have these traffic angels, and they drive around during rush hour, and they've got an extra tire, and they've got an extra radiator, and they've got an extra gaskets, and they come and look for cars that are broken down. You don't have those in New York or New Jersey. Okay.
No way.
All right. That's crazy, right? All right. That's ridiculous.
A helpful person just driving down the highway?
No, they're paid for. The city pays for them.
Okay. No, definitely don't have them.
Okay, so we have in Colorado. So anyway, well, there are molecules that are like that carry around extra Mickey Mouse ears, just in case they run into an atom that is missing a Mickey Mouse ear, right? So before I go tell you about those, let me tell you the most common place, the most abundant source of Mickey Mouse ears in the body is in the cell membranes, the outside part of the cell. The outside part of the cell is packed with Mickey Mouse ears. It's like a Mickey Mouse ear warehouse. And the next place, or another very important place where there's Mickey Mouse ears, is the DNA, the genetics. And between the genetics and the cell membrane, you have the main sources of damage by oxygen. Okay? So oxygen steals Mickey Mouse ears. The richest source of Mickey Mouse ears in the body is in the cells, in the cell membrane and in the DNA. And so the cell membrane and the DNA are especially prone to oxidation, to damage from oxygen, to stealing their Mickey Mouse ears. You got to look like you understand this a little bit better, because it looks to me like you don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm shaking my head the whole time.
Good. Okay, good. I don't know. Don't be
like a bobblehead. I'm understanding.
Okay, because I'm reading you, because I don't want this. I want this to make sense. Is Rebecca and Ruth Ellen making sense?
They get it.
Okay,
good.
I don't know who else. I don't see anybody.
Give us a thumbs up, Ruth Ellen and Becca. If it makes sense. They got a thumbs up.
Okay.
I get it. I understand.
Okay, so these angels that I'm telling you about that you don't have in New Jersey, New York, that was silly for you to even think that would happen. What a crazy idea. In Colorado, we have them. These atoms that are floating around, molecules that are floating around with Mickey Mouse ears, spare Mickey Mouse ears, guess what we call those? If oxidation is the stealing of Mickey Mouse ears, donating Mickey Mouse ears, contributing Mickey Mouse ears, what do you think you call that?
Antioxidants?
Antioxidation. Right?
Gotcha.
Now here's bonus biochemistry. The technical name for antioxidation is reduction. Okay? So, but it's the same idea. It's donating Mickey Mouse ears to the poor atoms without Mickey Mouse ears. You will hear of a process, if you haven't heard already, you will be hearing about it in the future, because it's a big part of biohacking, which is getting to be real big, called redox. Have you heard of redox? Redox is reduction oxidation. Now, why is it redox? This is the coolest thing what I'm going to say right now. Okay, and it's going to answer your question about should we limit the antioxidants. I'm actually answering your initial question with this whole discussion, right? So when an angel contributes one of its Mickey Mouse ears to a poor atom with no Mickey Mouse ears, that's called scavenging. That poor little atom with a Mickey Mouse ear, that's known as a free radical. A free radical is an atom with only one Mickey Mouse ear. That's a free radical. And when an antioxidant donates a Mickey Mouse ear, we say it's scavenging that free radical. That's called free radical scavenging. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. And you may have heard that term, free radical scavenging. But the problem is, now that Good Samaritan that donated its Mickey Mouse ear, now it's missing a Mickey Mouse ear. So we got a problem here. We've created, and remember I said, antioxidants become pro-oxidants. Okay, a substance that is an antioxidant can lose its Mickey Mouse ear. And now I forgot to mention this. This is one of the most important parts I forgot to mention. Atoms don't like to have one Mickey Mouse ear, and they'll go everywhere to find a Mickey Mouse ear. They'll actually go to the DNA or they'll go to the cell membrane. You actually create oxidation byproducts in a chain reaction by these atoms with no Mickey Mouse ears, because the antioxidant now itself is missing a Mickey Mouse ear, and it becomes an oxidant until it gets scavenged. And then that thing that scavenged the first scavenger, it now becomes an oxidant, and you have to have a chain reaction going. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Makes sense?
Yes.
And this is why, to answer your question, it's important to have a stream of antioxidants in the body, a steady supply of antioxidants. So as you're creating atoms with only one Mickey Mouse ear, you're filling them. And then you have one with only one Mickey Mouse ear, you got to fill that. And then you have another one with only one Mickey Mouse ear, you got to fill that. And it keeps going. You follow what I'm saying? You need a stream of antioxidants in your body constantly, because you're constantly producing oxidants. Every time you donate to scavenge, you create another pro-oxidant. Is this making sense?
Yes, I get it. I get it.
So the answer to your question is you need a stream of antioxidants coming into the system. The body is designed to constantly be creating oxidants. In fact, oxidants are actually signaling, and the body uses oxidants to communicate messages. And so this is where it becomes important. Picture in your mind how this is working. You have one Mickey Mouse ear, an atom with one Mickey Mouse ear. It gets replaced. Now you have another atom with one Mickey Mouse ear because it just gave up its Mickey Mouse ear. It gets replaced. And now you have another atom with only one Mickey Mouse ear, so then it gets replaced. And this keeps happening. And so you have a stream of antioxidants coming in that are constantly donating Mickey Mouse ears because they're constantly losing an ear. So something has to donate to them. This whole stream of movement, it's actually movement. You're going from, call zeros and ones. You're going from, we'll say only one Mickey Mouse ear is a 0, 2 Mickey Mouse ears would be a 1. You're going from zeros to ones. 0, 1 fills 0, 1 fills 0, 1. It's a whole stream of zeros and ones, of empties and fills, if you will, right? That whole stream of empties and fills, zeros and ones, Mickey Mouse ears, or however you want to call it, is technically known as redox, reduction oxidation, because as one element is oxidized, or as one atom is oxidized, it becomes reduced. Then that atom is oxidized, it becomes reduced. Then that atom is oxidized, then it becomes reduced. That whole thing is known as redox. And the smoother, the more efficient the redox pathway is, the healthier you are, which is why you want lots of antioxidants into your system.
In a stream,
you want to keep the stream going. Yes, you want this stream going because you don't want any rogues. If you have a rogue, it's going to go to your DNA. It's going to create mutations. If you have a rogue, it's going to go to your cell membrane. Remember, an atom with one Mickey Mouse ear is a rogue.
So what you're saying is we should be drinking Tangy Tangerine from the minute we wake up all day.
All day. All day. You want a stream of antioxidants in your system because you're constantly creating these rogues. And the rogues are going to look everywhere they can find to find an electron, a Mickey Mouse ear. These Mickey Mouse ears are electrons. So they're looking for Mickey Mouse ears.
Okay, so hypothetically, we inhale and we're getting oxygen. Hypothetically, we should be sipping Tangy Tangerine right after that. All
day. Now, hang on, though. This is very important. Another very important, because nothing's that simple in biochemistry, but it's fun. I hope you think it's fun because I think it's super cool.
I think it's very interesting for sure.
It's really cool, I think. So, when I first took biochemistry, the very first course in pharmacy school, I wanted to get on my knees and praise God right there in the classroom. It was such a powerful spiritual experience for me to understand all the stuff that's going on inside our body. Quintillion times a nanosecond. Quintillion, imagine with complete organization and coherency and intelligence and responsiveness, right? It's just mind-boggling. So anyway, you breathe in oxygen. What's the point of breathing oxygen? If oxidation, why are you doing that? As oxygen is stealing a Mickey Mouse ear, it's releasing energy. That's what that light is that you see in a fire. The body, specifically cells, have figured out how to take that release of energy that occurs as the Mickey Mouse ear is being stolen and harness it. And it harnesses it. It's the coolest thing how this does. I'm not going to tell you how it happens, but it harnesses every Mickey Mouse ear release of energy. And it uses oxygen to release energy from foods, which ultimately will get harnessed to create chemical energy, which we call ATP. And this whole thing happens with oxygen and with food at the quantum level inside your mitochondria. That's what the mitochondria do. The mitochondria are responsible for this whole process. And the way it happens, look, I wish I could share it because it sucks that I have it in my head, but it's so intricate and it's so magnificent at the quantum level. Do you know what I'm saying when I say the quantum level? I don't mean small, I mean quantum. They're small, right? I'm not talking small here. I'm not talking teeny tiny. I'm talking quantum. Take teeny tiny and divide it by 1 billion and you get quantum, right? So, I mean, it's happening at that level, and it's taking this energy, these releases of energy and it streams them along at a scale that is so tiny you can't even imagine. And it happens in all the cells of your body. And as it's streaming along, it's releasing energy, which is constantly being harnessed and turned into chemical energy. Now, look, you're trying to get a handle. I can see your mind trying to get around.
Well, you know what? I mean, I do get it.
In your body. Dude, this is happening in your body, in every mitochondria, of which you have tens of thousands, sometimes anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000, tens of thousands in every cell. In every cell, of which you have 100 trillion. And it's happening in the mitochondria. Check this out. Inside the mitochondria, there's these folds and membranes and an inner and an outer and curves that are perfectly structured so these little electrons can transport in just this perfect way and be carried by different things so that as they're breaking off, they're releasing energy. That energy runs our bodies. And this is happening in all the cells of our body at a scale that is incomprehensible. And the whole thing is, I'm just telling you this because I think it's cool. I hope you think it's cool. I hope the listeners think it's cool. But the point is that we don't have to know any of it. We just have to know how to feed it, how to sustain it. And that's why the nutrition is so important. For example, all those little pieces of electricity that are transported down the mitochondria and that are being released, and Mickey Mouse ears, we'll call them, and energy is being released, they're all carried by niacin. Vitamin B3. Have you heard of NAD?
Mm-hmm.
NAD, NADP, NADH. It's all in the news now, right? Or in the health world now. NAD is one of the carriers for those Mickey Mouse ears in the mitochondria. Also, vitamin B2, riboflavin. So the B vitamins, vitamin B3 and B2, play specific roles in energizing in the creation of energy by carrying these little Mickey Mouse ears in the mitochondria. And this is how the B vitamins in particular work. Vitamin C works by contributing a Mickey Mouse ear. That's what you were talking about, vitamin C, earlier. It's a major, major antioxidant. It's one of the best contributors of Mickey Mouse ears that there is. And one of the ways it contributes to Mickey Mouse ears involves how it is involved in the synthesis, the production of collagen. And that's one of the and that's one of the reasons why vitamin C is so important, because of its ability to donate Mickey Mouse ears. But that is also why vitamin C turns brown. If you leave vitamin C in water or in oxygen for over the course of a period of time with light, it'll turn brown because it's oxidizing. And that's why a lot of foods will turn brown. That's why apples turn brown. You ever leave an apple out, cut an apple, leave it out? That browning is the vitamin C oxidizing. It's the oxygen stealing a Mickey Mouse ear off of the vitamin C. One of the ways you can tell something's oxidized is by a browning. It will change color. It'll darken. Melanin, pigment, right? Melanin, when you go out and get a tan, you're experiencing photo oxidation, because it's not only oxygen that oxidizes. Photo means light. Photo oxidation is when light steals a Mickey Mouse ear. When light steals a Mickey Mouse ear off of a certain molecule in your skin, it will darken it and you get dark skin. Now, your skin is permanently dark. That's different. That's not a tan. But you'll tan. Do you tan? I'm sure you tan, right?
Yeah, I do.
You'll get a tan. That's oxidation. That's oxidation of the melanin in your skin. So a tan is photooxidation. Sunburn is a severe photooxidation. Aging can be caused by photooxidation. That's called photoaging or photo damage. And that's the stealing of Mickey Mouse ears by light off of collagen.
I need to cut you off because
Yes.
we have tons of questions.
Okay. Is that cool about Mickey Mouse ears? I know I digressed there. I only have 9 minutes.
No, you didn't. And because it's just leading to more questions that I have. And if I do that, we'll never get to
Do you have questions or the listeners have questions?
We have listeners' questions.
Okay.
I'm just going to just run.
What are you reading? How come I don't see the questions?
Because you're not hitting where it says private chat. And Becca and Ruth Ellen are feeding us questions from Rumble and Facebook.
I see them now.
And Pam on Facebook, which longevity products are high in ORAC points? We kind of discussed that. The Tangy Tangerine.
And here, let me see. Somebody asked a question I'm reading here, and this is interesting. Why is redox so expensive? Can't you consistently replace antioxidants through nutrients, foods? Bingo. It shouldn't be expensive. It's expensive because nobody understands what redox is. It sounds fancy schmancy. It should not be expensive. You're right. Why would you do redox practitioner sessions unless you need a mat? You don't. Redox is exactly what I just said it is. So that's true. And you shouldn't be expensive. And I know there are companies that make it expensive and they make it sound like much more than it is, but it's simply reduction oxidation, stealing of Mickey Mouse ears. Was my metaphor good? You understand the metaphor? Stealing Mickey Mouse ears, replacing Mickey Mouse ears?
Absolutely.
Right. That's basically what redox is. That's life. All of life is a perpetual motion machine of zeros and ones. Zeros, empty spaces being filled, creating more empty spaces, which are filled, creating more empty spaces, which are filled. It's a perpetual motion machine, and that's what life is. And you may even say that people die, but when people die, their cells are still being transformed, and there's still life happening. Even when you die, after you die, there's life happening in your body. And I don't want to get graphic, but there's worms, and there's funguses, and there's all kinds of things that are eating your body and are using the stuff in your body. So all of this is redox. Redox is the perpetual motion of life. It's how life, that's why life is and never ends. Even though bodies end, life never ends. It's an endless stream of redox.
Okay. Fantastic. And
if I could say one more thing, and I'm not going to explain this, we'll have to say this for later. It's how plant-derived minerals and all the mineral drinks work. Or one of the reasons why they're so effective is because of redox, particularly the ionic minerals that are in the plant-derived mineral blend.
Becca, you want to come in and ask your question, please?
All right. So, Pharmacist Ben.
Yes.
Terry has a question. She is looking for recommendations for menopausal hot flashes and just generally feeling hot all the time, not able to regulate her body temperature.
Yes. Nobody knows what to do about that. What is this great mystery of hot flashes? Heat should always be regarded as a sign of emergency. What you're experiencing, that the hot flashes, the sweats, the anxiety, even the weight gain and the kind of not laziness, but not feeling like doing anything, fatigue, all of that is actually the end result of stressors on the body. The major stressors on the body, and where do you think the two major stressors on the body are going? What do you think the two major stressors on the body will be?
Are you talking like adrenals and hormones?
Well, adrenal hormones are secondary to the initial stressors in the body. The initial stressors in the body, aside from psychological stressors, because those are, I'm not going to go through those. It's the same thing that causes all stressors in the body. When we talk about stress, well, first of all, when we talk about in the body, we always mean in the blood, right? So there's no in the body. We say in the body. We're not talking about in the skin or, in the fingernail or in the hair. We're talking about in the blood. Good? You understand? Okay. How do things get in the blood? How do stressors get in the blood?
Through our food. What
Food.
would you eat?
What are the two ways? What are the two things, two steps in food processing? From the time you put it in your mouth, the time it goes to a cell. So the time it gets turned into this energy via this whole process we just talked about, from the time you eat it. That's the beginning and end of food. Is you eat it, it gets converted into energy in a cell. A small fraction of most food, by the way, like 1% or something, not even. So food, and the end result is energy, chemical energy, as we just talked about. What are the two steps? One is digestion. The second is metabolism. That's why you get your first 2 points in the triangle of disease. You want to end hot flashes? I will tell you today how to end hot flashes. You'll never have them. They'll stop immediately. Fast. Your hot flashes will go away. Fast. And then notice when you start eating again that your hot flashes come back. Simple as that. When you eat foods, even the best of circumstances, you initiate immune activity. But for most of us, the foods that we're eating are very high carbohydrate, high sugar. They rev up the system. So keeping your blood sugar down, stabilizing your insulin, and correcting for digestive issues. There's emergency chemicals in foods. There's emergency chemicals in the intestine, particularly histamine. I found that my friends, I'm 65 now, and I used to always hang out with people who were like younger than me, like 10, 15 years younger. But now all those young chickadees that were in their 20s and 30s, now they're experiencing, right? And I find I have a lot of friends like that. And all my friends, all my lady friends that have hot flashes and night sweats, they love wine and cheese. Love wine and cheese. They can't get enough wine and cheese. Wine and cheese are major hot flash foods, major night sweat foods. So are you shaking your head because you don't like wine and cheese, or because you like wine and cheese?
Well, it just totally makes sense. I do like cheese.
I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to blame it on wine and cheese, but I'm just noticed that all my friends who are now in their 50s and perimenopausal or menopausal, they just can't get enough wine and cheese. That's their favorite thing is wine and cheese. But it's other things too. But wine and cheese are very high in histamines, and so histamines are a major stimulant or activator, we'll say, of the heat system, of the inflammatory system. So laying off histamine-containing foods is very important. If you have leaky gut issues, histamine can be getting into your blood through your bacteria or through mast cells. So controlling histamine and other things too, but histamine is a big one. So working on leaky gut, dysbiosis, SIBO, food intolerances, food allergies, digestive enzymes, pancreatic enzymes, working the whole digestive thing. Staying away from foods, first of all, that trigger it, and then helping your body process foods at the level of the intestine. Then there's the second phase, which is metabolism, and that's blood sugar. And that's why fasting or keeping your blood sugar as stable as you can is very, very important. You'll notice that a hot flash is related to spike in blood sugar. Now, you mentioned your hormones, and that's true, but your hormones are responding to your blood sugar. Your hormones are responding to your metabolic needs, aside from the mental and the psychological, which most certainly play a role. I'm not diminishing those, but we're just not talking about those. So from a physiologic perspective, calming the body down by reducing calories, lowering blood sugar, also breathing, oxygenate. Oxygen is very important. And one of the things about oxygen, as you may understand now, is yes, oxygen is important, but carbon dioxide is also important. Blowing off carbon dioxide is where you blow off the waste products that are produced by the oxygen. So understanding how to exhale is also important in the breathing process. Inhaling and exhaling. In fact, you want to exhale more than you inhale. Better to give than to receive. You want to exhale a little bit more than you inhale. So you inhale for like 4 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds. That's the best way to breathe for relaxing the body. So that's also important. But keeping your blood sugar stable, and then correcting digestive issues. So then what do you use? What kind of nutrients do you use? Healthy Start Pack. Number one, all that things for blood sugar. So healthy blood sugar pack, we'll say, because you also want things that help you stabilize blood sugar. Anything for digestion. Focus on digestion, but you're going to want I-26, Daily Digest, Dr. Ari's Liver Cleanse. It's no accident that postmenopausal women, by the way, are the most susceptible to gallstones and gallbladder removal, because they're having problems they notoriously will have problems with the fats, because their steroids, their fatty hormones, have been thrown off. And remember, and I got to go after this, but this is important. The inflammatory system is regulated by short fats, tiny little fats, for better or worse. Your anti-inflammatory fats come from fiber and good bacteria. They make anti-inflammatory fats. Where do you think inflammatory fats come from? French fries and pizza and bread and margarine and popcorn, all the things that we love so much. Those are major sources of inflammatory fats, and those can wreak havoc on the metabolic system as we get older, particularly as we get older and as they accumulate. So staying away from those kinds of, and you know, that's always a good idea anyway, but particularly for menopausal women, staying away from inflammatory fats is very important, and helping the body process fats. So healthy blood sugar pack, all the digestive stuff, calm the body down. There's lots of ways. Nobody should have hot flashes. You can actually not have hot flashes. Yes.
So I found longevity right at the right time, because I went through menopause, no hot flashes, no symptoms, nothing.
It's awesome.
And I was doing a low sugar diet. I was doing a carbohydrate diet, or
low carb,
ketogenic diet.
Ketogenic diet, yeah.
Intermittent fasting.
And you're been fasting too.
And I was doing the
you were following this whole program. You were doing everything I just said. Yeah, it's exactly right. And you don't have hot flashes. Nobody. We have set, and this is very important. And I do have to go after this. We've set the bar so low on health. We think hot flashes are normal. We think all the things that happen with menopause are normal. We actually think that, unless you're listening to this call or you're doing longevity, you probably think it's normal to have hot flashes, because everybody does, but you don't have to have them. Rebecca, you should be doing classes, teaching, going on, doing everything you do. There's women who don't know what you know.
Making an ebook on hot flashes.
Make an ebook on hot flashes, yes.
Okay, Pharmacist Ben.
Yes.
I know you got to go. I do have tons of questions.
Are there a lot of questions?
I have a few questions. And one of them, I don't know if it's going to be quick.
They're never quick.
Diffuse, idiopathic, skeletal, hyper.
You're pulling my leg. Come on, you're just saying that. You're just trying to get a rise out of me there. You are. You're making that.
Idiopathic.
Once Say it again. Diffuse.
Hyper.
I gotta write this down. Diffuse idiopathic.
Skeletal.
Skeletal.
Hyperostosis.
Osteosis. Hyperosteosis.
Ostosis.
Ostosis. Okay. So hyperostosis means that the bone is growing too fast. The bone cells are growing too fast.
Yes.
And so what was the first? It was differential. What was the first?
Diffuse idiopathic.
Okay. Diffuse idiopathic. Skeletal osteo.
Hyperostosis.
Okay. So diffuse means it's happening all over, right?
Yes.
That means it's diffuse. It's happening head to toe, which makes sense. It's in the bone. Everything happens head to toe. But this is in the skeletal system. So it's diffuse. Idiopathic means we have no idea what's causing it. Okay? I'll tell you exactly what's causing it here in a second. Hyperosteosis was after that?
Yes.
All right. Hyper means too much. Osteosis means bone. Too much bone. And it's happening everywhere. You don't want too much bone. You don't want to be calcifying. The reason, first of all, there's a simple reason, and then I'll tell you a little bit more specific. The simple reason why this occurs is because of inflammation. And that's always the bad guy. Always. Remember that cell we're talking about that's doing all this work? It needs to have just this perfect environment to do its work in. Once you have inflammation, you've got dirt. It's like, when you make computer chips in Silicon Valley, they make computer chips, right? They have to wear complete outfit. Do you ever see what they have to wear to make computer chips?
Absolutely.
They have to go to a special room, and they have to wear these head-to-toe outfits, right? That are completely dust-free. Why is it that they have to be in this pristine, filtered, dust-free room, and they have to wear these dust-free outfits that cover them from head to toe? Why is that?
Because a little bit of dirt could mess the whole thing up.
Exactly. The most tiniest speck of dirt will mess up those delicate computer chips. Well, a cell is like a computer chip, except it's way more complex and infinitely times more structured and coherent and organized than a computer chip. Infinite, right? So if a little piece of dirt is going to interfere with a computer chip, what's it going to do to a cell? So once you start to have, that's what this leaky gut, dirty blood whole story is. Once you have these cells and they're now having to deal with all of this stuff, it's a miracle they can anyway, because there's all these fail-safe systems in there. But eventually it reaches a point where the cell can't do what it needs to do. And so it starts to change the way it processes. In the case of this particular condition, when cells are dirty and they don't have what they need to do, they start to accumulate waste. That's one of the things that happen. They start to break down. They're not efficient. They don't clear out their waste as efficiently. And so waste starts to accumulate. In the body and with cells and in biology, waste is acidic. And by the way, quick digression, something's acidic when it is stealing electrons. That's what makes something acidic. It steals electrons. Something that's alkaline has extra Mickey Mouse ears. Extra Mickey Mouse ears is a good state of being. Not a lot of Mickey Mouse ears is toxic. The body it starts to develop acid, so it has to deal with all that acid. One of the ways it deals with all of that acid is with minerals, and these minerals change the way the bone is formed. The minerals start to leach out of the bones. They start to get dumped back into the bones in different kinds of disorganized fashion because the cells are dysfunctional. And so you get these calcification patches. You get these little lesions, calcium lesions, if you will. And this is how we kind of die, actually. We calcify. That's what it's called, calcification. Changes in how calcium is deposited in the bones and in the soft tissue, in the thyroid, in the kidneys, in the skin, in the heart. This is one of the ways we break down and one of the ways we die. So disruptions in calcium metabolism are follow inflammation, follow toxicity in the blood. So here I'm gonna put on my psychic aura. Okay, what's this lady's name with the diffuse idiopathic hyperosteosis?
Her name is Parks.
Parks. I'm gonna do a through the internet psychic reading on Parks. Parks, I'm feeling Parks. You've had digestive problems for a long time now. Yes, it's coming to me. Digestive problems for a long time.
277 pounds at 5.
Oh, really? Let me do some more psychic reading. I think there's a blood sugar issue as well.
5.5 A1C.
Oh, the psychic never fails. Psychic Ben. Of course it's not psychic. Of course it's not. It's logic. It's logic. And when they say diffuse idiopathic, that means they're not logical. They're not understanding how the body works because they can't see the forest for the trees. We're talking here about the forest. We're talking about the milieu, the environment of the body. They're looking at the bone. First principle, where you see the problem is not where the problem begins. You follow me?
Yes, sir.
Only a medical healthcare professional will say, okay, we got a bone problem here. This gal has all these, she's calling you about her diffuse idiopathic hyperosteosis, but look at all the other stuff she's got going on. That's really where the problem is. And for them to say idiopathic, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's a shame.
All right,
I understand.
So how does this gal handle her? Listen, aren't you sick of me saying the same thing over and over again?
No, I'm not. I love hearing it because it reinforces it for everyone.
So what do you think? What would you do for this gal?
We have to fix her gut. She's got to fix her digestion. She's got to wean herself off the oxycodone and the gabapentin. And what longevity products would you put her on? She needs the healthy bone and joint pack. I would, obviously.
It's the first thing she needs. Aside from the basics, aside from the Mighty 90, the first direction, digestive.
She needs the ultimate. The ultimate microbiome.
Yeah,
digestive enzymes.
Here's the problem with this gal because she's severe. How old was she?
71.
Okay, So she's severe. The fact that she's 71 is actually kind of good because that means she's got some good chi. She's still hanging in there. So we can make her. Is she on the call?
No, she's email.
Okay,
she might be. She's a.
We can help her. She can be helped. Remember, first principle is where you see the health challenge is not where the problem is. But there's another first principle, and that is the sicker you are, the faster you can begin to turn it around. Begin to notice results. So she can notice results very quickly. It's gonna take a while to get to the whole thing. I would work with the food and the blood sugar first, and you don't want to pound her with too much stuff because you want to. It's like kind of like when you have a big block of clay, right? The first thing you do is you rip off hunks, then you fine tune, then you scalpel it, right? So we want to rip off some hunks here. Hunk number and honestly, that's going to be the hardest thing that she has to do is to rip off hunks because she's probably used to living her life a certain way at the age of 71. So she can do it the right way or she can do it the minimum wage way. The minimum wage way is get on the BTT today, as soon as possible. She's probably starving, functionally starving. So get on the BTT. If she wants to do it the right way, then you want to work with the whole Healthy Start Pack, the digestive support, and the blood sugar. Okay?
Pharmacist Ben, you got to go.
I got to go.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Ben, before you go, I got something to say to you.
Yes,
so we got our buddy Cypher King, who is my good friend. He is on the call, and his son chose not to go to your undergrad alma mater because it's too expensive. Do you have any idea how much your undergrad alma mater now costs annually?
Mine, Syracuse?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't go to mine either. Just so you know.
No. How much do you think Syracuse costs to go annually?
Oh, it's probably ridiculous.
Out of state. Throw a number out.
Probably $100,000 a year.
$92,000 a year.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
American dollars.
It ain't worth it. It was different. This was long.
He's going to George Mason now instead of Syracuse because
Syracuse was fun, but the weather sucks, and it's not worth $100,000. That's for sure. And they keep hitting me up for money. I get letters like catalogs. Will you donate? I'm like, are you kidding me?
Because you're the world.
I need you to donate to me. You should be giving me money. Donate to me. I'll send you a letter.
Yeah. Ben, thank you for doing this for us. Rudell and Becca, thanks for being a good teammates. And anybody, look in the description. You'll see the products. And I'll just say this for everybody here. You can get a sneak peek at what Pharmacist Ben teaches by going to triangleofdisease.com.
Thank you.
That's a sneak peek. It's not for public consumption, but for our 100 or so friends who are watching live right now and the couple other 100 who will watch later on and tomorrow, you get a sneak peek. Don't tell anybody about it. Consume it yourself. Any last words, anybody else?
Be empowered.
Right on.
You can take it on yourself, nutriate yourself, and make those choices that are going to help you have a better health journey.
Pharmacist Ben, we'll see you Friday.
Thank you. Friday.
Thank
Daily
you.
with Doc.
Thanks for